Maya's hands trembled as she placed the small positive test on the kitchen counter. Ethan leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, lips curling into a laugh that cut sharper than any blade. "You're going to do what?" he scoffed, shaking his head. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the faint hum of the refrigerator. Maya's chest tightened, but her eyes burned with determination. "I'll raise this baby alone," she said, voice low but steady, each word a defiance against the storm in his expression. Could she really do it? Would the world believe in her strength when even he didn't? And as Ethan's laughter echoed, Maya felt a fire ignite inside. A fire that refused to be dimmed. What if proving him wrong became her purpose, and hers alone? Maya closed the door behind Ethan's retreating figure, the echo of his laughter lingering like a bitter ghost. She sank onto the kitchen floor, cradling her stomach, heart pounding with a mix of fear and fierce determination. The world outside seemed impossibly large, judgmental, and indifferent, but within her, a stubborn voice whispered that she could do this. Alone or not, she would prove that love and courage could build a life from nothing. Somewhere beyond the walls of her home, the man who had dismissed her resolve would one day see who she had become, and perhaps, finally, understand what it meant to truly raise a child with heart and strength. The first night alone was relentless. Maya paced the living room, the small apartment heavy with silence and shadows that seemed to press closer with every hour. Her hands moved instinctively over the tiny clothes folded neatly on the sofa, imagining the life inside her growing stronger. Every day, doubt tried to creep in. Could she really do this alone? But each heartbeat of her unborn child reminded her that courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about moving forward despite fear. Outside, the city lights twinkled like distant stars, indifferent to her struggle. But Maya clenched her fists, promising herself that she would rise, unshakable, against the world and against him. By morning, determination had hardened into action. Maya opened a laptop on the kitchen table, her fingers flying across the keys, researching everything from prenatal care to budgeting tips for single mothers. The apartment hummed with a quiet energy, punctuated by the occasional sigh or soft hum as she forced herself to stay organized. Every challenge seemed insurmountable, yet with each small task completed, her confidence grew, like embers catching flame. Somewhere deep inside, a stubborn pride whispered, "I will show him. I will show everyone I can do this on my own." Evening arrived with a quiet promise. Maya cradled her growing belly on the sofa, rocking gently, a small smile curving her lips. Lila, though not yet born, already felt like the center of her universe. The apartment, once cold and empty, now held a heartbeat that belonged to hope. She imagined the day Ethan might return, forced to confront the woman she was becoming. A woman unshakable, strong, and fiercely devoted to her child. She no longer feared him or the world. She only feared failing her baby. And in that fear, there was a power. A determination that even laughter could not break. The days blurred into nights, each one heavier than the last. Bills piled up on the counter. The grocery trips stretched her thin, and sleep became a rare luxury. Maya pushed herself through exhaustion, balancing work, appointments, and preparations for a life that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Friends offered advice, but also doubts. And sometimes she caught herself wondering if the tiny heartbeat she carried was her only reason to keep going. And yet, even in her fatigue, she refused to crumble. She whispered to her belly in quiet defiance, "I can do this. I will do this." Somewhere in the city, Ethan continued with his life, unaware of the small miracles of perseverance unfolding day by day. Maya's evenings became a symphony of quiet struggle. Rocking a nursery chair with one arm while typing reports with the other, she learned to function on instinct and sheer willpower. The city hummed outside her window, indifferent to her sleepless nights and tiny triumphs. Occasionally, she would catch a reflection of herself in the dark glass, eyes shadowed, hair messy, yet a spark of pride igniting in the depths. No one had to see it. She was raising a life, not for recognition, but for love. And somewhere deep inside, she imagined the day Ethan might witness what she had become, and maybe finally understand the strength he had laughed at. One afternoon, Maya ran into Ethan unexpectedly at a coffee shop. His surprise was palpable, and for the first time, she noticed hesitation in his usually confident stance. "You're managing?" he said, voice quieter than before. Maya didn't answer, only offered a small, guarded smile, aware that his eyes betrayed a mix of admiration and guilt. She had no need for his approval, but the acknowledgement stung in a strange way, awakening emotions she wasn't ready to confront. The child he had dismissed had already begun shaping the woman he barely recognized. Back at home, Maya found herself exhausted but unbroken. She folded tiny clothes for Lila, arranged diapers and bottles, each task a quiet ritual of care. She realized that her strength wasn't just survival. It was shaping a world for her child where love outweighed fear, where determination overcame doubt. The thought of Ethan, watching from afar, both unsettled and intrigued her. Could he see what she had built without him? The thought made her chest swell with pride and quiet defiance. She wasn't waiting for him. She was moving forward with or without him. Night fell, and Maya finally sank onto her bed. Lila's tiny kick, a reminder that she was never truly alone. Every hardship, every sleepless hour, every small victory had become a testament to her resilience. She imagined the day Ethan would see the woman she had become. Fierce, unyielding, and fully devoted to her child. And she knew, somewhere deep inside, that when he did, nothing would ever be the same. Not for him, not for her, not for the life she was building from sheer determination and love. Maya stood at the park bench, watching Lila take wobbly first steps on the grass, her laughter ringing out like sunlight piercing a cloudy sky. Each small victory reminded her that motherhood wasn't just about survival. It was about nurturing joy, resilience, and love. People passing by threw curious glances, some offering smiles, others silent judgment. Maya ignored them all. She had built a life from uncertainty and doubt, and every tiny step Lila took was proof that she was capable. Somewhere in the distance, Ethan lingered, hidden behind a tree, his blue eyes widening as he watched the woman he had mocked a few months ago flourish into someone he barely recognized. Weeks passed, and Maya's confidence grew. She decorated Lila's room with DIY projects, organized her finances meticulously, and even started attending community parenting groups. Each accomplishment, no matter how small, reinforced the truth she had always known. She was stronger than anyone had expected. And though Ethan occasionally appeared in glimpses at the store, near her workplace, or passing by her apartment, he no longer mocked. Instead, he lingered, uncertain, silently witnessing her transformation from afar. The woman he had laughed at was no longer someone to dismiss. She was unstoppable. One evening, Maya returned home from work to find the apartment spotless. Laundry folded, dishes washed. Her mother, Sarah, had stopped by to help, leaving a note. "You're doing amazing. Even when no one notices, we see you." Maya sank onto the sofa, eyes glistening, realizing that strength wasn't just about surviving alone. It was about the love and support quietly surrounding her. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of the city, Ethan glimpsed her note in her mailbox, pausing the weight of her resilience pressing against the walls he had built around his indifference. On a rainy afternoon, Maya balanced an umbrella in one hand and a shopping bag in the other as she navigated the crowded streets with Lila in a stroller. Each puddle, each obstacle, was a small test of her resolve, and she passed them all with patience and grace. Suddenly, she caught sight of Ethan across the street, holding his own umbrella, eyes following her every move. Their eyes met briefly, and for the first time, there was no mockery, only recognition. He was seeing the woman she had become, a mother who could thrive in chaos, unafraid and unbroken. That night, Maya tucked Lila into bed, brushing back her tiny curls, whispering promises of love, protection, and a life full of joy. She felt a profound calm, knowing that she had not only survived, but thrived. And though Ethan still hadn't spoken, she felt his presence in fleeting glimpses and imagined understanding in his eyes. The woman he had doubted now stood fully formed, a force of love and determination that could not be ignored. One day he would have to confront her strength, and when he did, nothing would ever be the same. The doorbell rang just as Maya was folding Lila's tiny laundry. She froze, heart skipping a beat. Ethan stood there, holding a small bundle of baby clothes, his piercing blue eyes cautious but steady. "I thought you might need these," he said quietly. Maya's first instinct was to shut the door, to protect her hard-earned independence, but something in the way he lingered, hesitant yet sincere, stirred an unfamiliar flicker of curiosity. Could he truly change? Or was this just another test? She swallowed, took a deep breath, and let him in, silently determined to see what he was capable of, without surrendering herself. Ethan lingered in the living room awkwardly, watching Maya sort the laundry. He tried small talk, clumsy jokes that fell flat, and yet his presence was unmistakably tentative, almost vulnerable. Maya continued folding, voice calm but firm. "I don't need help, Ethan. I've been doing this just fine." He nodded, acknowledging her strength, a subtle ache of guilt and admiration in his eyes. In silence, they both realized that the distance between them had shifted. Not closer, but charged with the weight of unspoken truths. She wasn't waiting for him. He was learning what it meant to face the consequences of underestimating her. A week later, Maya confronted Ethan at the park, where Lila played on a swing. "You can't just show up," she said firmly, her hazel eyes blazing. "You have to prove you're serious." Ethan's jaw tightened, but he didn't turn away. "I want to," he admitted quietly, voice raw with honesty. For the first time, they were speaking as equals, one demanding respect, the other slowly learning humility. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying the faint laughter of children, a reminder that life moved forward, whether they were ready or not. That night, Maya sat at the kitchen table, a cup of tea warming her hands, replaying their conversation over and over. Ethan's words had been honest, but trust had to be earned. She realized that her strength wasn't just about what she could do alone. It was about setting boundaries and standing firm even when it hurt. Somewhere deep inside, she wondered if he could truly match her determination, or if he would falter at the first real challenge. She sipped her tea, steeling herself for the tests to come, aware that the next steps would define not just their relationship, but her life as a mother. The following morning, Maya watched Lila crawl across the living room floor, giggling as sunlight streamed in. Ethan entered quietly, hands empty this time, eyes meeting hers with tentative respect. He knelt, letting Lila crawl into his arms, and for the first time, Maya saw something shift. A flicker of genuine admiration, a recognition of her unyielding strength. She didn't smile. She simply observed, aware that this was the beginning of a reckoning, not a reconciliation. The woman he had dismissed was no longer waiting for validation. She had become unshakable. Maya stood in the center of Lila's birthday party, balloons swaying gently around her. A small group of friends and family laughing and celebrating. 1 year ago, she would have trembled at such attention, fearing judgment and failure. Now, she radiated quiet confidence, balancing laughter and duty effortlessly. She watched Lila crawl toward a cluster of colorful presents, eyes sparkling with wonder, and felt a deep pride swell inside her. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, Every challenge had led to this moment. She was unshakable. And Ethan, standing in the background, watching silently, finally understood the depth of her transformation. After the party, Maya sat on the porch, rocking Lila in her arms as the sun dipped below the horizon. She reflected on the year that had passed, the hardships, the victories, the quiet moments of doubt turned into lessons in courage. She realized that her strength wasn't just about proving anyone wrong. It was about creating a life of love and resilience. Somewhere nearby, Ethan lingered, watching her silently, finally recognizing that she had become a woman beyond comparison, capable of thriving without needing him, yet shaping him with her example. Maya tackled a major personal goal, finishing a work project she had once thought impossible while juggling motherhood. Late nights and early mornings had become routine, yet she thrived in the chaos. Her laptop glowed in the dim living room, and she typed with precision and focus. Lila curled asleep on the sofa beside her. Ethan stopped by unexpectedly, noticing her determination firsthand. He didn't intervene. He simply watched, all quiet in his eyes. The woman he had underestimated was not only surviving but conquering, shaping a life he had dismissed. One rainy afternoon, Maya struggled with a flat tire while Lila slept in the stroller nearby. Frustration threatened to break her, but she refused to yield. Summoning patience and resourcefulness, she changed the tire herself, soaked through but triumphant. The city blurred around her, rain dripping from her hair. But inside, a fire burned brighter than ever. When Ethan arrived just after, offering his presence rather than help, she smiled faintly. Not in need, but in acknowledgement. He finally realized strength like hers couldn't be rushed, only respected. That night, Maya tucked Lila into bed, brushing her tiny curls, whispering promises of love and protection. She felt a quiet satisfaction. This was her life, built by her hands, guided by her heart. Ethan stood silently in the doorway, finally seeing her not as the woman he once mocked, but as someone he could no longer ignore. Respect replaced judgment, admiration replaced doubt, and for the first time, he wondered if he had been foolish to laugh. Maya didn't speak to him. She didn't need to. The moment itself held a recognition far deeper than words. She had become unshakable. Ethan sat across from Maya at the small cafe they had once shared laughter in years ago. His hands fidgeted around the coffee cup, eyes flicking nervously toward her. I was wrong, he admitted, voice quiet but raw. I laughed when I shouldn't have. I didn't see how strong you are. Maya's hazel eyes narrowed slightly, wary but attentive. She had built this life with her own hands, and no apology could erase that. But hearing him acknowledge her courage stirred something unexpected. For the first time, their conversation wasn't about judgment or doubt. It was about recognition, honesty, and the fragile bridge between past mistakes and possible futures. Later that evening, Maya returned home to find Ethan quietly folding Lila's laundry. He didn't speak, only moved with careful attention, respecting the space she had fiercely claimed as her own. Watching him, Maya realized that this wasn't about needing him. It was about seeing him change, understanding that strength could exist alongside humility. She didn't soften immediately, but a quiet acknowledgement passed between them. He had begun learning the weight of her resolve, and she had begun noticing the flicker of his genuine remorse. That night, Maya found Ethan sitting on her porch, staring at the stars above. He hadn't come to apologize again. He had come to reflect, to confront the man he used to be. I've spent months watching you, he said quietly. Watching you love her, guide her. I didn't know I could feel so small. Maya's lips pressed in thought. She had no obligation to comfort him, yet she recognized the honesty in his voice. Strength wasn't just about raising a child alone. It was about facing vulnerability and truth. And in that moment, The two of them shared a silence heavier and more meaningful than words. The next morning, Ethan offered to help with Lila's morning routine, standing quietly as Maya prepared breakfast. He moved with patience, respecting her guidance, not overstepping or assuming. Maya watched him, noting how his eyes softened with understanding, how he mirrored the care she had spent months cultivating. It was a fragile trust, forming slowly, but it was real. She didn't smile yet. She didn't need to. But inside, a subtle acknowledgement of possibility began to bloom. Perhaps this was what balance felt like. Strength and vulnerability coexisting. A dance neither could ignore. That night, Maya tucked Lila into bed, brushing her tiny curls. Ethan lingered at the doorway, this time without hesitation, his gaze steady. "I see you," he said softly. Not the woman he had mocked, not the child's mother he had ignored, but her, fully herself. Unshakable and courageous. Maya's heart didn't race. She didn't falter. She simply nodded, acknowledging the weight of his words. For the first time, the barrier between them shifted. Trust, respect, and vulnerability intertwined. A fragile bridge forming between two people who had learned the cost of laughter, doubt, and underestimation. Maya watched Lila toddle across the sunlit living room, her tiny hands grasping for balance, laughter spilling freely. Every challenge of the past year, the sleepless nights, the judgment, the exhaustion, had led to this moment. She had built a life of love, resilience, and unshakable determination. Ethan stood nearby, observing quietly, no longer a skeptic, only a witness to the woman he had once dismissed. Maya felt a sense of calm power. She had proven to the world, and herself, that she could thrive on her own. Yet somewhere deep inside, she recognized that strength could coexist with connection, and perhaps, just perhaps, he had earned a place in this life as an equal. Later that afternoon, Maya and Ethan walked through the park, Lila holding both their hands. Conversation flowed naturally, laughter threading between them like a fragile bridge finally mended. No words could erase the past, but respect and understanding had replaced doubt. Maya realized she no longer needed validation. The life she had created spoke for itself. And as she glanced at Ethan, she saw not the man who had mocked her, but someone willing to grow alongside her. Aware of the strength she carried and ready to support without overstepping, the possibility of partnership was no longer about need. It was about choice. Back at home, Maya set Lila on the sofa with her favorite stuffed bunny, watching her tiny fingers trace patterns in the fabric. Ethan quietly joined her, leaning against the doorway, a soft smile on his face. Maya didn't reach for his approval, but she acknowledged his presence, an unspoken agreement that he had seen her, truly seen her, and respected every ounce of effort and love she had poured into this life. For the first time, she felt the balance between independence and openness, knowing that her choices had power and her boundaries remained intact. As night fell, Maya tucked Lila into bed, brushing back her curls and whispering promises of love and protection. Ethan lingered nearby, standing respectfully, watching her maternal devotion. Maya realized she had not only survived, but thrived, becoming a mother, a protector, and a force of resilience. The life she had built didn't require him, but now it could include him, not as a crutch, but as a partner who had earned his place through understanding and respect. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future where strength and love could coexist. Finally, Maya sat on the porch the next morning, Lila in her lap, sunlight spilling across her hair. Ethan joined her, sitting quietly, no words needed. In that silence, a subtle understanding passed between them. She had become unshakable, her life a testament to love and resilience, and he had witnessed it. The laughter, the challenges, the victories, they had forged something stronger than doubt or judgment. And in that quiet moment, the possibility of a shared future shimmered, not out of necessity, but out of choice, respect, and newfound love. Maya smiled softly, knowing she had not only raised a child, but had also become a woman who could define her own destiny.